Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to my channel. I'm so glad to have you here with me today. And today's topic, I'm sharing a little bit of insight about negative energy and three key tools or three key practices that can help us to transcend and move beyond the experience of negative energy. So, as with all things in our experience, negative energy can come through on a number of different dimensions of our experience. But before I jump into the content, I want to just mention a couple of things. So in the comments below, or in the caption below, I've included a link to a free meditation. Now, if you've seen my videos, you probably know that I'm quite passionate about the potential for a simple meditation practice to profoundly support our own transformation. So I've got a link to, it's just a short 10-minute practice that you can download for free. And the other thing is, if you're a subscriber, thank you so much for being here. If you do enjoy this content, I invite you to like and comment and subscribe if you'd like to receive more of that. So coming into the topic for today, so negative energy. Now, as I mentioned, we can experience it through a number of different dimensions of mind. But at its very basis, negative energy is just frequency, and in many cases, one way to look at it is simply that we have two energetic frequencies and they're interacting and they're discordant. They're not harmonic, they don't resonate. And that will create an experience or an uncomfortable or unpleasant experience, which we can label as being negative energy or good or bad. Now, the other fundamental thing I want to kind of make note of or give credit to is, yes, there is negative and positive. I'm not saying that that's not the case. We have a duality in our universe, and negative energies would tend to be those related to destruction or diminishing, whereas positive energies are those associated with expansion and creation. And, we embody a mix of these. Our fears are negative energies, and so one thing in keeping this in mind, I invite you, given that energy is just energy, two people can come together and have an experience of each other, and each of them can walk away going, well, that was a bit negative. Now, that's because when you're in a lower frequency, sometimes it can be really uncomfortable to be around somebody who is in a higher frequency, not good or bad. And when you're in a high frequency, sometimes it can be uncomfortable to be in the field of somebody who's at a more dense frequency. It's just the nature of energy. And so if we can keep this in mind, I invite you to perhaps, when you go through more difficult experiences, can you hold a little more compassion? Can you find a little more patience? And I will share with you the tips to kind of bolster yourself and to clear those experiences from your field. But a large part of how we experience things is our awareness of them. Now, I'm not diminishing any experience. I know, like 10 years ago, I went through a profound spiritual awakening. And as I received more light into my energetic field, all of a sudden, everything around me seemed to be darkness. It was coming at me. It was just attacking me left, right, and center. And at that time, I didn't have a particularly sophisticated understanding of this kind of dynamic. And so I was very much in fear. I was very much resisting and trying to fight against what was going on in my experience. And so I pushed back. And yes, part of it was a karmic experience for me. But I do know that, it passed through. I was able to take steps and I grew through that. And that's another point I want to make, is that if we're feeling like there's energy interacting with us, which is challenging us, just know that you have the resources, you have the resilience to get beyond it. But sometimes it will call you to be a little more resourceful or to grow or to heal in a way so that you're no longer vulnerable or susceptible to those energies coming towards you. And this goes, I'm not denying that there can be psychic energy directed towards you. This could be a really long conversation, but I'll keep it short and sweet. So, just consider that people are simply approaching reality from the space and from the frequency of reality in which they're residing. And so sometimes that's by choice, often it's not by choice. And so if you choose to do the work to grow and to heal and expand and to embody more light, then it really is an act of compassion to notice, if something's not resonating, and to hold your sovereignty rather than going into attack mode or judgment. Hold your loving, compassionate sovereignty. So that being said, this is how we can actually rise beyond those experiences of darkness and negative energy. Now, if you're not doing this already, the number one, and this is the first thing that I did when I felt like I had no escape, like the stuff was coming for me, I tell you. But I understand it now. I understand what it was. So, but from the lower dimensional mind, these astral and lower astral energies that were coming to me at that point, I had no way out. So I went and I started doing practices to bring more strength and capacity into my body to hold more light. So that things like yoga, I took up Kung Fu, an energetic form of Kung Fu, and Qigong, so Chinese martial arts, which brought strength, but also light. It opened up the energetic pathways in my body. And that was a game changer. So after a few months of doing that, I started being able to, I became more resilient to what I was perceiving as attacks. Now, it took me still some time to grow through other stuff. As I mentioned, it was partly karmic. And it was definitely an experience that served me, so all of this is something that will serve your growth and your expansion once we get to move through it. So cultivate a practice. And as I said, yoga is great for this. And so is Kung Fu or Qigong, or something that is a practice focused on strength and peace and inner mastery, So the next thing, and this might sound a bit straightforward, but it's boundaries, simply boundaries. And this will go on any level of experience or mind. You might be experiencing people physically coming into your field. So perhaps you need to actually physically remove yourself from a situation or learn to say no. And the thing with boundaries that can be tricky is that we often think that boundaries are almost, they're a mechanism to create separation. Whereas when used properly, they can be based in love. Like, our intention is everything. And so to create a loving boundary, it's done when you acknowledge your sovereignty, when you're able to sit, like I mentioned, in that kind of position of observing this exchange of energy or what might be playing out, rather than being right in it. You can observe it, and then you can go, no, this is not what I choose to happen. And as I said, you can say no, or you can create a space, or you can simply shift. And this is a practice to cultivate. You can actually shift the way you engage in a conversation, or the way that you engage energetically with somebody, so that, even in a difficult energetic dynamic, you can still attain or maintain that level of autonomy and sovereignty over your energy field. And as I said, sometimes it simply involves removing ourselves from a situation. And, these boundaries, they also go for energy. So that's talking about when we've got a physical relationship or a physical event. But similarly, energetic boundaries, so having the intention, maybe we can retract our auric field so that we're not kind of interacting so much with other people, but having the intention that somebody, that we're, protected, safe, all that sort of thing. That might be something that serves you, but that's not usually the be all and end all. Energetic clearing and cleansing practices are very important, but I found when I was going through it that, popping a little white light egg around me wasn't enough. It didn't serve, because, and as Bashar says, if you've ever heard of Bashar, he says that you cannot perceive something that's not a vibrational match for you. So without going too much into the quantum side of things, if you are experiencing the negativity or negative energies, there there is a patch of density perhaps in your light body, in your energy field, in your subconscious imprints that is allowing that to engage with you, that's allowing that to be present in your experience. Which is why that first point that I made about cultivating and cleansing the energy body is so important. Now, on that note, just going back to point number one, food, eating clean food, and minimizing on things like sugars, refined sugars, is also very supportive in that regard. So point number three is focus, managing your focus. And it's also about what's the story that you're telling yourself. And this also speaks to what I said about having the perspective of the compassionate observer. If you're focused on the situation as being an attack or being a victim, then that's the way that the situations will continue to occur for you. So what's the story? What are you making it mean? What are you taking from this experience? Because that will very, very often define not just this experience, but also how you continue to create your perceptions of similar experiences going forward. So manage your focus. Focus on what you want to experience. Focus on what you want to create, and focus on how you can stand more fully in your sovereignty and the energy that you wish to cultivate. Because any energetic exchange is a two-way. There are two beings involved. Even under, even if there are things being projected, there is we live in a co-created shared reality, a shared experience of self. And so to take on mastery of our own self and our own being and our own body, like physical embodiment and mental processes, will remove us from those situations in which we'd experience that. And that's really taking quantum discernment and your level of self-mastery to a new level. So my darlings, I hope that this has served. If you have any questions or comments, I'd love to hear from you in the comment section below. If this resonated for you, please do like or subscribe to the channel, subscribe to the channel. And just a reminder, if you want that free meditation, just follow the link in the comments below. Much love. Stay well.